Hello, everybody. Welcome to Inside the Birds TV. We're very excited today. Of course, it's Geoff Mosher with Adam Caplan, and that other guy on the screen who's more important than us is former Baylor wide receiver Denzel Mims, very much considered a top 50 prospect, and he's getting ready for the draft, and we're all doing a really good job of doing this in social distancing. He's in his place, and Adam's in his place, and I'm in mine. So first, welcome to the show, Denzel. We really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure, no problem. Tell us exactly, this is different, like for everybody who's coming out of college this year into the NFL draft. The whole process is different as far as how you're getting to talk to people from teams and what you're able to do. You know, I'm guessing your pro day was canceled. So how are you making the most of this situation, first of all? And I hope you're, by the way, healthy and everything is great with you.
Well, now I'm just try to do whatever I can at the house, you know, as far as lifting, doing body weight exercises and stuff. And I'm doing a lot of running, trying to keep my body in shape. And I say this is very different for all of us, especially players. And it just shows who's going to take it serious, who's going to be the one to keep their body in shape, and who's going to be the one just be at the house and just be lazy all the time.
So Denzel, let's get started here. Your Senior Bowl experience. I think it was my 20th one, and it's really interesting. Coaches and personnel people normally don't get overly excited at practice, but you were so good and made so many plays. You could hear some oohs and ahs. So clearly, you had a good week. Give us an idea of what that experience was like in Mobile.
It was a great experience. You know, it felt like camp all over again. So it felt like I had to go in there and prove myself and try to get a starting job. And so basically what I came in there to do, I knew it was all about business. And I knew that if I wanted to be elite at the next level, I had to show them that I'm one of the top guys in this draft class. And I try to go out there and just do what I can. And I want to just be hungry.
Yeah, you know, Denzel, coming into this year, I mean, I don't know how many people had Denzel Mims on their radar the way they may have had a CeeDee Lamb or a Jerry Jeudy. But coming out of the Senior Bowl, certainly your name was one of those that started to get mentioned. This guy's rising up the boards, or people are really impressed with him. What was that like for you to all of a sudden receive all that attention and accolade right after the Senior Bowl and the Combine?
I think it was great. I think it was fantastic. You know, I always felt like I was one of the top guys in this draft class. You know, I played the same amount of years as the other guys. You know, it's just my freshman year I played, but, you know, I really didn't play. And I played the same amount of years as they did. And I feel like stats show that I had the more production, you know, had the most yards, the most touchdowns. And I just feel like, you know, felt good to get recognized and for people to see how good I am, you know, because it's a lot of people that overlooks Baylor, you know, Baylor receivers just due to the people that came before me. And I just really try to change that, you know, because what people don't see is, you know, is that we had a whole different coaching staff as the previous Baylor receivers. And they just see that the Baylor receivers, and they think that it's still the same. And I just try to go out there and just be hungry and just show them that I'm nothing like those other receivers.
So in practice, Denzel, give us an idea of who you went up against and the kind of confidence you got when you were winning. And I think you were coached by Robert Prince, the Lions receivers coach.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Give us an idea of what Coach Prince, because he's one of the better coaches in the NFL at that position. Give us an idea of what he was telling you and what he felt you needed to improve on after the week.
He just told me to go out there and be me, you know. He said we here for a reason, you know. We've been doing this our whole life. So he just was telling me to go out there and be myself and just make plays. And I felt very confident in myself going out there, you know. It always feels good to go against new competition. And it's guys that you never played before. So I just went out there and I feel like, you know, I had the little thing in my head that was telling me, you know, I'm gonna win every route. And so I kept it in my head and I just stayed positive on every route. And I always had a plan before I ran a route, you know. Just try to have a plan before it, and I try to achieve it. And just Robert was saying, he was just saying that the tips he was giving me, he was telling me little technique problems, you know, that I was doing, and just make sure I get my depth and things. And so, I mean, it helped out a lot.
Yeah, I'm glad you alluded to that. I really wanted to ask you specifically about playing for Matt Rule, what you learned most about the wide receiver position, the technique involved, and then what you just talked about, when you're standing there lined up against a corner, tell us about the mental game for you. Like, what's going through? How are you going to stack that guy? What is going through your head when you're lined up on the outside from what you learned from Matt Rule and his staff?
Well, Matt Rule, he taught us to be very physical, And the thing is that I try to bring to my game a lot is physicality in my routes, and especially on the line. And just really what he taught us is just to be tough. And he always told us to have a plan, And my receiver coach, Freeman Jackson, always taught us that, he did a great job of getting me to where I am now because I came a long way from my sophomore year to now. And
go ahead.
And it was just, I was just trying to have a plan for it. And Fred was just, he just stayed on me about little things. Every little thing, he was just making sure I become a lead at it and be perfect at it. And we just worked on it every single day. And Matt Rule did the same thing.
During the Senior Bowl practices, because those are that's what's most important in Mobile that week, you didn't just have one good practice. You basically had 3 good practices. How were you able to do that? And because you said you wanted to win every route. There were some really good senior corners there and DBs.
Yeah.
What did you? How were you able to beat them? Because you had a bunch. I could see it in front of me. You had a bunch of over the head catches. How were you able to do that during the week?
Well, for one, I took care of my body. I take care of my body very serious. I mean, I think I was the only one in Mobile that had a jug on them at all times. Because we did that at Baylor, and so we always had a jug and drink water and stay hydrated. So I made sure that I stay hydrated. So I won't pull any muscles or I won't get tight, and I just made sure that. And even after every practice, I went and got stretched. I went and got a little massage, and I just made sure that my body was right. I feel like that's the number one thing, to put good practice after good practice each day. And just coming in, I just, I had my mindset that, I wanted to do good and I wanted to just prove myself, and I didn't get too happy. Some players may get too happy. Okay, I had a good practice. I showed myself, I felt I was very hungry. So I wanted to put it all together and do good every single practice to show them that I can do it. I can do this every day if you need me to. And that's something that I want to do every day.
You sound like you're a pretty hungry, determined guy, Denzel. Is that just entering your last year in college and maybe not being on the radar like some guys, or is that just how you naturally are?
I feel like that's how I naturally am. I always been on the radar. Coming out of high school, I was always an underdog. I felt like I was one of the best players in Texas. But, people didn't really recognize it because I went to a small school. But, when I went to camps, I got recognized because I proved myself there. And, it just took that one offer and that one team just to believe in me for me to just go out there and show what I can do. And, that's what I tried to do. And then when I went to Baylor, I got my opportunity in my sophomore year and I took advantage of it.
Denzel, before we get to the Combine, give us sort of a backstory on your time at Baylor in terms of, you talked your first year, obviously, as a freshman, not great numbers, but you improved each year. How were you able to stack one year after another and put up those numbers as you did the last 3 years?
I think it's preparation, The one thing I did was, I watched film over my previous year, and I wanted to see what could I do better the next year, And I did good my sophomore year, but I felt like, I had a down year. I felt like I had a down year that would drop numbers, and that was really because, it was just lack of focus for me. I wasn't really focused that year, but I took a turn around my senior year, I took a major turn. I wanted to be one of the top, and I wanted to prove it because I had a goal that I wanted to win a Biletnikoff, and that was my goal. And I wasn't going to stop until I win it, and it turns out I didn't win it, and it was pretty upset on me. I was pretty upset by it, but, I can't control everything.
Do you feel like you at least left it all on the field, though? You didn't win the award, but do you feel like you gave it your best effort when you look back on it?
Most definitely. I feel like I did my best effort. I feel like I should have won my Biletnikoff my sophomore year and my senior year, especially my sophomore year, just due to the fact that, I had put up almost 1,100 yards and I had 8 touchdowns, and I played with 3 different quarterbacks that year. And so, I felt like I did great that year, and then come my senior, I feel like the yards was there, and it wasn't the yards compared to other receivers, but the catches I made were the catches that made a lot of top tens, and I made a lot of great plays.
Yeah.
What was Denzel? If I were to ask you, I'm going to ask you two questions really in one. One, what is your favorite route and why? And when you talk about your ability to beat a corner, what do you think is more important? Your speed, your release, your technique? What really goes into making Denzel Mims one of the better wide receivers in the draft? And then of course, what's your favorite route and why?
The answer to the second question, my favorite route is a slant. You know, I like running slants. I feel like that's my number one dominant route. I mean, I like getting the corner turned around and slapping him by and crossing his face and catching the ball. I mean, I feel like that's my number one job, especially me being a big receiver. And just far as to get open and the first question, I feel like the most important thing is really your release. You know, if you don't have a good release, then the route won't get started. If you get jammed up, then the route is dead. You ain't gonna run the route. So I feel like you gotta have a great release.
Denzel, growing up, were you just a receiver, or did you play other positions?
I played every position, but just growing up, I was always a quarterback. You know, I didn't start playing receiver until my sophomore year in high school, and then my junior year and my senior year, I really didn't play that much receiver. You know, I was moving all around, playing quarterback, playing some running back, and stuff like that. Just being an athlete, and so I really didn't have that much experience at receiver going into college.
Did you have a growth spurt, or were you always tall?
I was always tall, but you know, I was tall middle school. Then when I got my 8th grade year, you know, I kind of got short. You know, everyone started catching up to me. Then I said my sophomore year is when I hit that growth spurt, and I moved to receiver.
All right, Denzel, we got to ask you about some of these teams that you were talking to who are interested in you. Before we get to that, though, I just want to let our viewers know that this show right here, Inside the Birds TV, is presented by DraftKings. They've got the top-rated sportsbook app, and of course, you can go on right now and play casino games. What I want to ask you is, I'm sure you've been inundated with talking to coaches, talking to people from teams. Are you getting a feel right now for how many teams are really interested in you, and B, where you think you're going to fall in the draft?
I feel like it's a pretty good amount of teams that's interested in me, you know, and most of them talk to my agent and tell them that they're interested in me and they like me a lot. And really though, I think that I probably end up falling late first, early second. You know, you know, I feel like that's where I probably end up landing. You know, due to we got a lot of great receivers in this class. But you know, wherever I fall, you know, I'm just to be thankful for that. You know, and I'm giving my all, 110% wherever I end up at. And so I'm just gonna be grateful for it.
Did you have a favorite receiver growing up that you idolized or you looked at the way the guy played?
Just really going. I say probably when Michael Thomas came in the league, Julio, and I watched a little bit of Randy Moss. You know, I watched those guys a little bit, and I liked Dez a lot, Dez Bryant a lot, and so I watched those receivers growing up a lot, and I probably say those were my favorite ones. But I really I watched Minnesota. You know, it's a team a lot, so I really didn't. I was so loyal to them that I really didn't watch other teams.
Oh, Randy Moss, I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a scheme, Denzel, or even in a position like X, Y, or Z where you feel like is the perfect marriage for you? That if I go to a team that plays this type of scheme and wants to play me here or across from this and or move me around and do this, have you thought about that, or where you think you fit the best?
I always believe that I'm an X receiver. So I always feel like getting those one-on-one matchups, being in the boundary, I feel like that's me, you know. And the scheme, I really only been a part of one scheme truly, and it was RPO scheme. You know, it was an RPO team at Baylor, and so I feel like it's a couple of teams that are just an RPO team, but I feel like that scheme is something that I'm used to and I'm familiar with, and it'll be a great fit.
Where are you going to be for the draft, by the way?
I'm being Dallas. I'm in Dallas. You know,
where you been working out?
I've been working out with myself and one of my old teammates. You know, he's a trainer, so I've been working out with him a lot.
How much to go back to what you said about your release being the most important thing? Because if you want to play the X in the NFL, and you got those big physical corners who can also run, right? You got guys who are 6'1", 6'2". You put them on the boundary, they can run. They're freakish athletes. What is the biggest thing for you to work on between now and then? And I'm going to ask you on top of that, there may not be rookie camps. Who knows about the OT? I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty right now.
Yeah.
So how are you able to work on kind of improving those things without, the ability to go out and do it on practice fields with teammates?
I say you can do it with yourself, You
Mm-hmm.
can just ask one of your receiver coach, and get one of your family members, your cousins, your girlfriend, or whoever, and have them to stand in the way, just shadow you. And I feel like you can do that at home.
Okay. Girlfriend plays good press coverage. We know that. All right.
That's funny.
I mean, I guess so.
Mm-hmm. But no, going back to what we talked about that release, getting by those guys what is the biggest thing for you to focus on in that regard?
I feel like I can work on everything. I feel like there's always a room for improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like I can work more on my releases. I mean, I've been getting very dominant in my releases, and after the season, I got real good at my releases, and I feel like I can work on that better, and just getting these corners off of me more in my routes. And so I feel like those are things I can work on more as a receiver.
Who are some of the top corners you went up against in your 4 years, and what kind of things were they bringing to the table?
It's really only one that I can say that's very elite corner that I went against, and that's Geoff from TCU. I mean, he's a dog. I think he's one of the best corners in this draft class, top 3 in my books. And he's a short guy, but he has long arms, and he's a dog. He uses hands. He's fast, and he's very competitive. He loves the challenge. And I've been playing him for 8 years. I played him in high school all 4 years, and
wow.
So just playing against him is the matchup never gets old.
Let's talk about Philadelphia a little bit, Denzel, because Adam and I, we cover the entire league, but this is the Inside the Birds show, Inside the Birds TV, and we do focus on the Philadelphia Eagles a lot. How much this is a team that obviously is looking into all the wide receivers. How much do you know about Philadelphia, the city, the coaching staff, the personnel, anything you can tell us about Philadelphia and what you know and what you've heard, and have you ever even been there?
I've been to Philadelphia one time, and it was last summer before the season. I went up there. And I went with a couple teammates and my head coach. We went up there and we just spent a lot of time together. And the experience I had, I was very scared. I wasn't familiar with the whole city, and it was a lot going on. You see a lot of people that look scary, and so I'm not part of that. I don't like that. So. I mean, I had a bad experience, you could say, from going up there that first time. But I feel like if I go there more and I just get familiar with it, I have a great time. And as far as the coaching staff, I feel like the coaching staff is great. I feel like they're unbelievable. And I feel like they're kind of the same coaching staff that I had at Baylor. I'm very loving, cares about you, and just want the best for you. And so I feel like, if I go there, it'd be a great fit for me because I feel like I'm home with them.
Now, I didn't know he ran into you, Adam. He said he was scared when he came to Philly, so I'm assuming
funny guy.
He ran into you.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, one more I got to ask you, because you mentioned in passing the Vikings are your favorite team growing up. And you love Randy Moss. The Vikings now, because they trade Stephon Diggs, they have 2 first-rounders, and they need a receiver in a big way. Probably could use 2. Did they talk to you at all? Did you have one of those interviews, and how did that go if you did?
I talked to Vikings, I feel like the conversation went good. I feel like I did a great job of presenting myself, and I don't have anything bad to say about them. No, I don't have anything bad to say about any team. I feel like every conversation went well.
One thing I do want to follow up with, though, what kind of questions do they ask you in these interviews? You can go back to the Combine or Senior Bowl, and obviously lately, what kind of questions do they ask you?
It's really they don't really ask me anything off the wall. It's just basically like the same question I ask everyone. Tell me about yourself, and tell me what is it like at your university, family growing up. It's just history like that, you know. Just ask me stuff like that.
Nothing crazy?
Oh, nothing crazy. I didn't get not one single crazy question from any team.
Good.
Cool. Let me ask you this, and then we'll kind of round it out. And we appreciate you and all the time that you've given us to the show, Denzel. Really appreciate it. But this is considered maybe the best class of wide receivers in a long time, maybe the best ever. Everybody's talking about it. It's historic. Mm-hmm. It's elite. There's a lot of expectations for guys who are going to be drafted 3rd, 4th, and 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
You're part of that, and you're potentially a first round or early second. How does it make you feel to be part of such an esteemed class and to be regarded that highly?
I mean, it feels great. You know, you always had that dream that you want to be the best. You know, one of the best, and you wanted to get drafted very high. You know. And some of us won't be able to get drafted very high. And I'm very thankful for that. I'm very grateful to be named one of the players that's going to get drafted very high, you know, late second, early first. Late first, early second. Mm-hmm. And so I just have a good feeling about that, you know. We all worked hard for it, and I worked hard for it, and I'm just thankful for it.
What's going to happen when you hear your name called?
I might shed a tear, you know. Mm-hmm. I'm not really a big crier, and I don't really cry in front of people, and I might shed a tear. You know, I have my daughter and my family there, and so I might shed a couple tears.
That's okay. I think that'll show the human side of you. Everybody will appreciate it. And look, I know, speaking for a lot of Eagles fans, if your name gets called, it's going to be a very large city of people who are very happy to hear your name, just as they were happy right now that you joined on here with Adam and I on Inside the Birds TV. Really appreciate it. We wish you the best. Stay healthy.
Yes,
Don't stay inside, and make sure that when that time comes, you're ready to go, because it sounds like you're ready to rock and roll, brother.
Oh, no problem. No, I am ready. And I thank y'all for having me on here.
You got it.
Appreciate it.
All right. For Adam Caplan, Denzel Mims, I'm Geoff Mosher. This has been another edition of Inside the Birds TV.